The Bernina 880 Embroidery Introduction with Susan Fears.
Welcome everyone. This is so much fun, the Bernina 880 and doing embroidery in the jumbo hoop. That's 10 inches by 16 inches. So we're just going to have a blast. But first of all, we probably need to learn a little bit about the screen and how everything works. So we're going to take a look at that. When you're in embroidery, you're looking at 4 main folders. You have 23 alphabets to choose from, 400 built-in motifs. All the integrated stitches, and what that means is all the stitches on the sewing side, including buttonholes and alphabets, are in this folder so that you can just grab them and integrate those into any of your embroidery designs that you are working with. And then there is a personal folder, and this is a place for you to store designs that you create. Any of your on-screen editing or any of your stitches that you create, you would put in here, such as when you've added stitches to a design. But how to navigate through all of this as you are working through the folders. There's a breadcrumb path that forms along the top of your screen, and as you select each folder, you'll end up with this breadcrumb navigation path at the top. And it's a very quick way to go back and forth within menus or one level up without having to go back out to the very beginning. So let's take a look at what those breadcrumbs tell you. So if I am looking at a breadcrumb page such as the back screen, the butterfly at the top, if I click on that butterfly or touch it, then it takes me to the motifs folder, and the butterfly is the motif or the icon for the motifs. So when I select the butterfly, there's my 8 folders of the motif selections of built-in designs. If I want to go back to the main menu of folders, such as these 4, because perhaps I want to add an alphabet or I want to bring a stitch into something I've done, then I can select the selection icon, and that takes me right back to those 4 folders. So you can go many places using the breadcrumb navigation. And if you want to go back to the very beginning for some reason, then you could select that primary folder at the front. So that's pretty much basically how the navigation works. And as we go through some of this introduction, you'll get to see me use it. But let's check out what the 880 actually looks like and what it would look like if you selected a design. So from my 880, I've selected this image, and to do that, I go back to my selection. See, this is the breadcrumb path I was just looking at. This will take me right back to the 4 folders where I might start. And if I want to find a motif, I find the butterfly. And then there are 8 different folders to select from, and this is where all of the 400 designs are. And that first design I selected was from the first folder, and it was this big flower. So what you have is a very uncluttered screen. The information icon will give you all of the tools or access to all of the tools that give you controls over what you can do with this motif. So let's say you want to move things around. First of all, let's get a larger hoop because we're pretty full where we are. If you look at the status bar, these icons are exactly the same as what you saw in sewing, with one exception. There is no pressure foot pressure icon. That icon is replaced with the hoop icon because that's more important in embroidery. When I select that, I'm going to select the jumbo hoop and close, and now I have space to move. If I want to move the flower, it's just as simple as touching the screen with your stylus or your fingertip and moving it into the new position. You also can move by selecting the move icon, and a lot of times I will move large distances with my fingertip or stylus, but if I want to fine-tune, the sideways direction is controlled by the stitch width knob, and you have that little icon of the hand with the 2 knobs. If I want to move it up or down, I can fine-tune with the knobs. And I like to use those together for the best of both worlds when I am moving something. And then if I want something to go back to center, you touch the little icon of center. You also have breadcrumb navigation at the top of this information menu. And if I select the eye here, it allows me to stay within the information screen, access to all of my tools. So I can rotate with 1-degree rotations. I can also quick rotate just by touching the +90. Again, I can close out of here, and now to go back into I have to start over. And you can see how much quicker it is to work throughout the I breadcrumbs to navigate within this menu. You have rescale disproportionately or rescale height and width. So again, I can use the upper knob to make it fatter. To clear any of the controls that I have set, just touch the yellow box. And now I can just stretch the flower and touch to clear. Staying within my information menu, rescale is next. You always know where you are because the little breadcrumb shows you which icon is of the screen that you are using. A proportional rescale by using my knobs, just turning them to the left or to the right, will allow me to increase the size of my motif. Perhaps I want to mirror image this. Mirror image left to right is very simply done, or up and down. Perhaps this is a better orientation for the project that I'm working on. It's easier to hoop it if I stitch it upside down. Let's say I want to clear the size, and now I'm going to duplicate the flower. So now I have two, and you can see how easy it is to move things around. Maybe I don't really want that duplicated. Now with the information menu open, you have easy access to the trash can. So that would be one way to throw away something, so let's check to confirm. But there is another way. Let's say I duplicate and I have this on here, and let's say that's really not what I wanted. Another way to remove something from the screen is to delete by sliding. So I can swipe the layer away to the left or to the right. It will always ask me to confirm, and now I only have the one single motif left. A couple other icons, you'll see this is shaping. I'm going to show you that with a different motif. Endless embroidery, I'm also going to show you with a different motif. There is a grayed out icon. This is your word art or your letter manipulation icon. Since I have no letters on the screen, this is grayed out. It's really not a choice. But I have check. And check is a way to check where this is going to embroider. So I'm going to attach the hoop, put on our jumbo hoop, and now when I select check, you see a little box around the edge. And I can move the needle to each of the four corners, provided it was in the hoop, and I also can ask for center. So this is a great way to double check that where your design is going to stitch in a box formation on your project. So I'm going to close that. There is another way that you can check something. We're in Edit. This is the Pencil tab. And I can touch, and my needle actually moves to each of these touch points that I'm touching to. So I can double check that each stitch point, and this is each stitch point, the needle moves to wherever this little cross mark is, and I can double check that this motif is going to embroider exactly where I need it to embroider. This is a term that we call absolute check. With a hoop on, then this works. If you don't have a hoop on, then it does not work because you need it to move to your project. So that is two ways to check to be sure that your motif is in the right place. Now if I go back to information, there is one other icon we haven't spoken about, and this is how to manipulate your stitches within a design. So this is what I call stitch properties. Turn it on and you can change the stitch length of a stitch that might be in your field, and you can also change the spacing. This can be really handy, especially if you have a large letter and you have a satin stitch. You can actually change the setting of the stitch length so that you can create some breaks in between there, force some needle points so that you don't have such large jump stitches. So that is a very quick rundown. Now, one thing I did and did not mention is I slid the screen, and I'm doing it right now. When you go into your information screen, you'll notice that some of the icons were chopped off. So anytime you see partial icons and a little bit of shading, that means there's more. And you tap the screen and you just move it. So you just press and hold. I've gotten into the habit of just pressing and holding, but if you actually gently select an icon, keep holding on to it until it deselects, and then you can move the screen. So that this is a great way to be able to have additional features built into your program without, and being able to access them with sliding. So let's go back out and let's get a new design. So we are going to select a new design. It always takes you back to where you last were. So using my breadcrumb navigation, I want to go back to my motifs folders because I'm going to select something for shaping. So I'm going to go into my shaping folder and select one of my shaping designs. When I go into the information screen and select shaping, there are, again, you see a grayed off area, 8 different shapes that you can play with. I'm going to select the circle, and then I can start building designs on here as well as changing the size of my shape. So you can change the size, you can add motifs, you can take things away, you can plus 90 your motifs, so this rotates each motif 90 degrees. You can also mirror image every other design, and you can create some pretty fun and fantastic looks by working with the shaping tool. There is an icon that is a lock, and right now as I change the size of my shape it stayed a circle, but if I unlock it and I only want to change one of these, then I can change my shape to be an oval, and then I can reproportion out my shapes, mirror image. So you really have a lot of fun and a lot of leeway when you're working with this design. So when you're finished and you found something that you like, press the check. Now this would be ready to embroider. Perhaps you want to add another design, or perhaps you want to add some lettering. So using the appropriate breadcrumb navigation of my selection, then I want to select an alphabet. And let's just say we put in some letters, and there they are. Again, with only the letters highlighted, so they're the only things that are in color on my screen, I can use the tools to enlarge them. But I also can use word art. So now my lettering is active, and I can increase the spacing to better fill the area. The other icon that's showing me to use the stitch length knob will also bend the lettering in a curve, and you can bend it to the right or to the left if you have a vertical orientation, but you can also move it into an upward arc or a bottom arc if you have selected the horizontal lettering style. So that is a way to work with word art. One last thing that I haven't showed you, and that's let's get a new file, is to work with endless embroidery. So again, I'm going to go into an area where I have some small motifs, and when I select endless embroidery, it takes whatever design is on the screen and duplicates that into as many elements as needed as will fill the hoop. So I have filled my hoop in this vertical orientation. Check to confirm, and then I can select a better size hoop to embroider this in. I also have reference marks that will give me the lineup positions when I want to go from hoop to hoop to hoop. So this is a very basic introduction to the BERNINA 880 embroidery. We've gone through all of the icons, we've manipulated, we have endless embroidery, we have shaped, and we've done a little bit with lettering. So this concludes our little tutorial on embroidery and its introduction with the 880. Thank you for joining us, and hope you can attend our other tutorials.